before us is a president who is living the rule of law. He is living it in in the most personal way. He is not pardoning his son, which he could do. These are federal charges. Right. He is not doing that. He is not doing it because he is living what it means to have a rule of law in this country. Yeah. And it is if you want to know if he believes it, you could actually see what is happening with his own son. I'm not saying that he should get credit for it because it is the right thing to do.
That's the norm, but Trump is beneath it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that the idea that you can't see it, or is that really what's going on? Right. Or when you can see what he is actually living by is his own son is being prosecuted, and he is allowing the norms that are required to live in a democracy to go forward.
On with me now, MSNBC Justice and Legal Affairs analyst Anthony Coley and Jill Wine-Banks, former assistant Watergate special prosecutor and former general counsel of the Army. Okay, Jill, let me start with you. Your initial reactions, or your reaction to President Biden pardoning his son.
I am relieved and thrilled that he did it. I think this was one of those cases that called out for clemency. Hunter Biden, first of all, would not have ever been prosecuted for the gun crime, but for his last name. Second of all, he was addicted, and that was a cause of his actions. He has now been sober for many years, and this is a time when it is really appropriate for a grant of clemency. I hope that President Biden will also issue preemptive pardons to all of those people threatened by the injustice of what will become the Department of Justice in the Trump administration. That, of course, includes Jack Smith and all of his staff, many Department of Justice lawyers. It includes President Biden himself, although we don't know that anyone can legally pardon themselves. He will need a pardon because he is going to be harassed and charged for no crimes whatsoever. Donald Trump has promised that.
So there you have it. Joe Biden is a living embodiment of the rule of law if he refuses to pardon his son. And then, after he pardons his son, after telling us for months he would never do that, and which you just heard would have been a violation of our democratic norms, well, now he's the paragon of clemency. Clemency for a crack-addicted tax dodger who's only being prosecuted because of his last name. This is the world of MSNBC. This is the twisted, bizarre, warped world of a group of fanatics, of ultra-left, rabid, anti-Trump fanatics who specialize in peddling narrative, not news. And it will therefore be no surprise to you that their so-called news network, is on life support. I've got the details. It's even worse than you can imagine. But hey, gang, welcome one and all. It is I, Dr. Steve, here for another live stream Monday night broadcast, a special celebratory broadcast, watching the legacy media collapse right before our very eyes, as we do every Monday night. We've got our exclusive backstage private Q&A tonight. So if you'd like to join our private censorship-free virtual platform where you can ask me any question you like, we do not censor. Just click on that link below or go to fight.turleytalks.com/Monday-QA. That's fight.turleytalks.com/Monday-QA. You can sign up for any level that you like. You'll be given your own backstage pass to ask me anything you like, as well as fellowship online with some of the coolest patriots on the planet. So just make sure to click on that link below or go to fight.turleytalks.com/Monday-Q&A, and we will be going to that private and you can also look at that forget just clicking on the link below. You can also, let me do it this way. There you go. There we go. It's just like looking at a mirror image. You can also just scan the QR code on that screen. It'll take you right there to the website where you sign up, and you'll be given your link to talk and with some of the coolest patrons in the world and ask me your questions as you see fit. The ultra leftists over at MSNBC are suffering a massive ratings crisis. I mean, ever since Kamala Harris and the Democrats went down in flames last November 5th, what remained of their audience believing the narrative, not news, that they were hearing from these serial liars over at MSNBC, 50% of them have left. Their viewership just hit a 20-year ratings low. Get this. Their primetime lineup has just been able to pull in barely 38,000 viewers in the coveted 24 to 54 age group as of last week. Now, if you don't know, the 24 to 54 age group is the key demo for advertisers. That's what they're looking for when they're advertising on your program. MSNBC, with all their billions of dollars, is pulling in the lowest viewership from that age group in 20 years. Here's how bad their ratings crash is. You ready for this? Check this out. This was reported in The Independent. Rachel Maddow, their star anchor, that'll tell you the state of the network. Rachel Maddow saw her viewership beaten by reruns of Ancient Aliens. I knew I would not be able to say that with a straight face. I kid you not. Let that hit you. MSNBC's #1 star, their biggest name for primetime viewership, is seeing her ratings beaten by rerun episodes of Ancient Aliens. Not just Ancient Aliens, but reruns. Reruns are getting more viewership than breaking news because, of course, more people believe Ancient Aliens is far more believable than the woke, contrived, fabricated narratives that MSNBC tries to pass off to its dwindling audience. Fox News, which has enjoyed a ratings boom since the election, despite Trey Gowdy, who's just Karl Rove with a bad haircut. But Fox News now is reporting that multiple MSNBC programs have lost more than half their audience since Election Day when comparing demo viewership to 2024 averages. So we're talking such ultra-left programs like The 11th Hour with Stephanie Ruhle, All In with the insufferable Chris Hayes, Chris Jansing Reports, Inside with Jen Circleback Psaki, of course, the Rachel Maddow Show, and certainly, of course, the ultra repulsive Joy Reid and her show, The Readout. They have all shed at least 50% of their audience among adults aged 25 to 54 since Trump's victory that you made happen on November the 5th. 50%. Now, again, reruns are beating out MSNBC at this point. I mean, I don't think it's any exaggeration that MSNBC is on life support. There's talk of Comcast spinning off and then selling MSNBC, even requiring that they change their name. The brand has become so toxic that executives and staff over at NBC want to separate themselves as much as possible so that they can get away from the radically far left rhetoric of MSNBC and not be tarred with it. And in fairness, it's not just MSNBC. CNN has seen its ratings slashed in half. since November 5th, which is not good news because CNN was already suffering from their worst ratings in 30 years. And then you have newspapers like the Los Angeles Times. They've seen their subscription base plunge ever since the owner there decided not to allow their editorial board to endorse Kamala a couple of weeks before the election. In fact, you may have heard, but that owner of the LA Times, he's actually fired their entire editorial board and wants to replace them with representative voices from the political right. And there's a clear reason for all of this. We talked about this often on this channel, so make sure you smack that bell and subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss a single video here. But we are all living right now in the midst of a new communication era that's characterized by what scholars call techno-populism. And the key feature of techno-populism is the internet. And the key with the internet is that it has effectively democratized information, right? So access to information is no longer restricted to and monopolized by our legacy media institutions like it was during the late 19th and most of the 20th century. So back then, the legacy media had a privileged, exclusive access to information, and they could plausibly lecture us on how they know better than we do precisely because they had access to information that we didn't. Well, unfortunately for them, over the last 2 or 3 decades, technology has advanced in such a way that that privileged position has completely disappeared. Instead, today, the internet has radically decentralized and dispersed information, giving each and every one of us the same immediate access to the same information that anyone at CNN or MSNBC or the New York Times would have. And what's happening as a result is that the people, the populace, the masses are now in the position of being able to fact check the self-anointed fact checkers. We're now in the position to fact check the self-anointed fact checkers. And needless to say, they've been found wanting routinely. Right? This is what's called technopopulism. Internet technology has shifted informational power away from editorial boards and elite legacy media outlets to the people. And the people are increasingly finding the legacy media suspiciously unreliable. I mean, think about it. What have they been telling us just in the last 8 years, right? They've been telling us that Trump colluded with Russia to steal the 2016 election, even though he got more votes in 2020, and they got more votes than that in 2024. They told us that Jussie Smollett was the victim of a race crime in downtown Chicago. They told us that Brett Kavanaugh was a rapist. They told us the COVID lab leak theory was nothing but a conspiracy theory. They told us that border agents on horseback ran around whipping migrants at the southern border, that the Covington Catholic school kids mocked and ridiculed a maligned, poor, peaceful Native American simply banging on his drum. They told us that Trump built cages for migrant kids and recommended that people drink bleach to cure COVID. Remember, they to this day talk about the fine people hoax, the suckers and losers hoax. They told us that Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist. And then, of course, the granddaddy of them all, they told us that the Hunter Biden laptop was nothing more than Russian disinformation. And they have the 51 information experts, intelligence experts to prove it. So given the rise of the internet and technopopulism, it's now we, the people, who are in a stronger position than we've ever been to fact check the fact checkers. And in turn, we then get to frame the narrative and foreground the issues that matter most to us. I mean, think about it. How else do you explain a presidential candidate who is the subject of 24/7 negative media coverage, who continues to be so, who's accused of all kinds of crimes and insurrections, who's designated the single greatest threat to our democracy in the history of our republic? How do you explain that after 24/7, month after month after month after month, year after year of all of that, he went on to win the single biggest Republican landslide victory in 2 generations? How do you explain that? Well, the explanation is rather simple, isn't it? Nobody listened to it. Nobody cared. Nobody gave it the time of day. Nobody gave that pathetic excuse for political reporting and analysis the time of day. The legacy media has officially lost their power and their influence over our society. That power and influence now belongs to you, the people. And it doesn't matter how much the legacy media whines and complains and groans and moans about it. Because after all, more viewers are watching Ancient Aliens than them. Over to you. Micah, our producer, is here. Micah, you want to come on out? Come on out from hiding. There you are with your great cap. I love it.
Yep, guys, we have some awesome deals I just wanted to make you guys aware of. I've put the links in the YouTube chat, and I will be putting up a banner really quick. We have our Cyber Monday deals. So if you guys want to take advantage, we have included in our merch store. You can go scan the QR code, or there should be a link in the description. I'll be dropping them in the descriptions of all of our websites and everywhere. 50% off to our annual subscriptions, which means you get to join us for a whole year for half off, which is just awesome. So we can't wait for you to do that. Just you have to use code CYBER24 when you scan the QR code and visit our sign up, and you can see our merch store and purchase it there. We also have some other deals that you can take advantage of. You could get 35% off everything in our merch store, which is awesome, and 47% off our MAGA Mega Bundle, which if you remember from one of our previous live streams, we had a MAGA Mega Bundle, which includes just, all of these Dr. Steve books that you could, all the writings of Dr. Steve that you could ever want. They apply to all areas of life. And so if you like the content that you watch on this channel, you're going to love the books that Dr. Steve has written. And so you get 47% off on that bundle. But the big sell here is we want to give you guys a chance to get 50% off on the annual subscription if you use code CYBER24. So we're going to do some questions here. And if you feel like you would like to ask a question and you have not yet signed up for our Courageous Conservative Club, then please do that. Please sign up, because we would love for Dr. Steve to be able to answer your questions and for you to be able to hang out with, as Dr. Steve says, the coolest patriots around. So we are going to get to some of those questions right away. And we have a couple coming in, as we see right now. We got one from Jerry G. What exactly is meant by the term color revolution?
Oh, color revolution. Where did the term derive from now? Gosh, it's convoluted in my. Well, I'll tell you what it is. What it is it is an artificial revolution, an astroturfed revolution bought and paid for generally by the State Department or by Soros and his NGOs. And what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to overthrow governments. Basically, chief actors are paid to assemble rebels to overthrow governments that are not cooperative with the globalist agenda. So that's what we saw with the Maidan Revolution in Kiev in 2014, when they're absolutely democratically elected president, who nevertheless was much more pro-Russian, sort of anti-NATO, anti-EU, got toppled It turns out, we know from transcripts from the BBC, that Victoria Nuland, who's working with the State Department at the time, I think she still is, maybe she's finally retired. I know Trump will definitely retire her, but she openly admitted that they were behind it. The State Department was behind it, and the State Department was actually going to send over bureaucrats to fill in government positions in the interim period until they had a new government set up that was going to be loyal to and friendly to Washington. And I forget where the color came in, but that's the gist of it. Whenever you hear the phrase color revolution, it refers to an astroturfed revolt bought and paid for by someone either from the WEF or Soros or the U.S. State Department to overthrow a sovereign state that is not playing the game in accordance with the rules set up by the collective West.
Awesome. Guys, remember, if you want to ask your questions to Dr. Steve, we have a bunch of people in this private live stream already, and we will be transitioning over in a few short minutes. We're going to answer a few more of these questions, but if you want to ask your questions to Dr. Steve, and if you want to get 50% off, you can scan that QR code and join our annual plan using code CYBER24 to celebrate Cyber Monday, a victorious Cyber Monday, and our first of many more to come, and many more beyond the 4 years that we have set up already for ourselves. So please scan that QR code and join us in this private live stream that we are about to go to, where you will be able to ask any question you'd like uncensored, because YouTube has demonetized us and we don't want to get our channel taken down completely. So awesome. All right, we've got a good question from Richard Maynard, and he asks, do you think Russia will nuke us on Christmas? And also, do you think New York will be successful in joining Canada? Is there any hope? This is a very two different problems going on.
Is there any hope?
Yes.
No, I don't. No to both. That would be the short answer. The longer answer is no. I don't think Russia's going to nuke us. Look, I mean, Russians can have a rough time going into quote foreign lands, as it were, going into extending out their borders. But once those borders are secured, like they are in the Donbass and in Crimea, once those borders are secured, they don't lose. They've never lost. They don't lose. And so I think Putin knows that, and he knows that he's not. I mean, he knows that 20% of Ukraine has been successfully annexed to Russia. It is Russia's, and it's not going anywhere. And the more the collective West wants to play this out, the more territory he's going to take. So he sees himself completely in the driver's seat right now. So no, he would. I mean, nuking us would be that would provoke mutually assured destruction, and that's just why would he do that? He would only do that if he was radically desperate. And I don't see any desperation whatsoever on his part. I think he's very cold, calculated, very cool, very measured, and he knows that he's checkmated Ukraine and NATO, and he could just sit back and watch his territory increase. There's no possibility of it decreasing. As for New York joining up with so was it a representative senator? I'm forgetting who said, "Oh, we should join up with Canada." It ain't gonna happen. They can go move to Canada, but it ain't gonna happen. There's obviously no way that's gonna. I don't even know. I don't even know if you could get the majority of blue residents in New York to vote for. Because keep in mind, New York is trending red big time. It went red by 12 points in 2024. Kamala only got half the margin that Biden got in 2020. New Jersey swung to the right by 11 points, and Trump actually came within 5 of winning New Jersey. So that's why Scott Pressler's got his he's got his bullseye right on Jersey. He thinks we can flip it, and that would be pretty stunning, because if we could flip Jersey, then I think we could make further inroads into those margins in New York. And so then what are we? We're 8-10 years away from possibly even flipping New York as well. So no, they're not going anywhere.
Awesome. Great question. Very, very interesting, different questions, but it was good. Anne has a question. Dr. Turley, do you think that the Hunter pardon is a proverbial middle finger to the Obama clique for having thrown him under the bus? Or is it just a brazen, corrupt action on Joe's part? Thank you.
That's a good question. You're contrasting two things, because it would be brazen on both sides. I mean, it would be a brazen act against a corrupt Democrat administration, and it would be simply brazen in of itself. That's a good question. The sense that I get is that the cultural space that our elites occupy puts them in their own perspective above the law. I talked about it in my earlier video today. It's technically known as anarcho-tyranny. So the law does not apply to certain members of our society in our de facto caste system, but it doesn't just apply to the rest of us. It's legalist. It super applies. And that's like we're seeing with Trump, where they'll literally make up charges that don't even exist. And then you have deep blue juries in New York, or what would have happened in the DC circuit, finding him guilty on all of these absurd counts, even although the same DA, Alvin Bragg, refuses to prosecute all kinds of shoplifting crimes and drug crimes and homeless crimes and street gang crimes and the like. So that's anarcho-capitalism. And I think at the pinnacle, the top of that, is an elite group that honestly believe they are above the law. They are the gods of Olympus that create the law for the rest of us. And I don't even think it's petty on his part. On Biden's part. I just think it is, but I don't think he's thinking of it in petty terms. I think he just thinks this is the advantage of being in the political class, is that we are immune from prosecution. We're immune from being held to the same legal standards as everyone else. And again, these are the same people who are lecturing us about what is true democracy and the rule of law. I mean, you heard that nut right at the beginning, I forget his name, at the beginning, talking about Biden. He is the embodiment of the rule of law. I mean, literally everything he said there was patently false. Now, that then leads to the question of, but what about Joe's lying? The absolute ridiculous, bald-faced lying that he's been engaged in over the last year and a half or 2 years with Hunter. And that to me is sort of the brazen corruption there. Politicians lie, again, because they believe they're above truth. Again, that's the key. You have to understand that. I do think there's an evil that's a very malevolent spirit that operates, as Tucker's been talking about, that operates in DC and among our elite permanent political class, so federal bureaucrats and academics and legacy media, basic complex of our political class. I do think there's demonic activity there, but there's a logic to it. And the logic is they are above the law and they are above truth. This is what's technically referred to as a post-truth society. They are above truth. So lying is just not a problem for them. I mean, we saw it with Bill Clinton. I mean, lying isn't a big deal because to them, they're not really lying. They are truth. And we saw it with MSNBC. MSNBC is a media outlet that is supposed to be speaking truth to power. And instead, what do? They just push talking points given to them by the power that be. So instead of speaking truth to power, they speak on behalf of that power. And they just change their narrative in accordance with that power. So it's pure post-truth mentality. So I do think there is some brazenness there. I'm sure there's a bit of a middle finger there to the Obama clan as well. I think it's a little bit of all of the above, and I do think there's some nefarious intent. But I do think there's also a social logic to it, specific to the permanent political class that obviously can't. It's not a sustainable social order. Can't exist in perpetuity. They're finding that out pretty fast. I think your answer on November 5th was pretty clear that you had no interest in living under this caste system anymore, this woke, nutty caste system of bureaucrat and billionaire teaming up to basically force their vision of the world down our throats, whether we like it or not. But that's the mentality that they have, that they're above the law and they're above truth.
I have a clip I want to play before we get into any more questions, and then we'll probably maybe do one more, guys, and then we'll transition over. So again, if you haven't, click that QR code right here, scan that QR code, or click the link in any of the descriptions, Rumble, YouTube. If you're on X, you can head over to YouTube, watch the recording, go to the description, and you can find that link where you can sign up, go to our merch store, and sign up for our annual subscription, 50% off for Cyber Monday, our Victory Cyber Monday in the return of the Trump era. Yeah. And I mean, he never left. It was always the Trump era.
It was like always the Trump era. That's right.
The NBA, where it's the LeBron era, but Curry has 4 rings, stuff like that, where it's just he's become such a figure. He's defined an entire 15 years of politics. It's pretty impressive. Very awesome. Yeah. So scan that QR code, click that link, and join us for our private Q&A that we will be going to shortly. But I did want to play this clip. This just happened as Peter Doocy went on Fox News and reported this, and it's something that Trump said to Trudeau. And any chance it's something Trump said, it's going to be good. So I just want us to all watch this together.
And tonight we're getting some new details about that Trump-Trudeau dinner from 2 people who were at the table. We are told that when Trudeau told President-elect Trump that new tariffs would kill the Canadian economy, Trump joked to him that if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion a year, then maybe Canada should become the 51st state and Trudeau could become its governor. Right?
No, Pierre Poilievre will become the first governor. Yeah, because they're poised to blow out the Liberals in the next election. I mean, the polling right now is insane with what's happening in Canada. It's absolutely it looks like they're getting the opposite of Britain. Britain had a 0 seats campaign thanks to the Lotus Eaters, our good friends across the pond there. Great YouTube channel, Carl Benjamin and the boys. But they ran a 0 seats campaign for the Tories. They wanted to punish the Conservative Party, the Tories, for becoming their version of the Rhino, of just basically selling out the people and just buying into globalism and so forth. So they wanted to punish them. And as a result of that concerted effort to punish them, we saw Labor get their best election in like a century. Well, we're seeing the opposite in Canada. It looks like even some of the Labor faithful are ready to absolutely crush Justin Trudeau and put in one of their best elections ever, the Conservatives, the Tories there, led by Pierre Poilievre.
It's just a great image of Trump saying that Canada should be annexed.
It's the opposite of the New
Yeah.
York, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's New York tries to escape to Canada, and then Trump annexes.
Wouldn't that be
Canada.
hilarious? Yeah.
Get back here. You're not going anywhere.
Get back here. Get back here. Where are you going?
So good. It's just he hasn't even been inaugurated, and just every country is bowing, kissing the feet.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is. It's
amazing.
Stunning. We're getting reports too. A number of the migrant shelters are shutting down in New York City before January 20th. As a matter of fact, word on the street is I saw one report that Eric Adams is actually talking to the Trump team about how he can help in the mass deportations.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We have speaking of migrant caravan or migrants, we have a question about the migrant caravans from Richard Maynard. Dr. Steve, are migrant caravans heading towards the southern border, or are they turning around? What's the truth?
Yeah, so it's hard, obviously, to get. We're getting some conflicting reports, but based on the threat of tariffs on Mexico, it does appear that the president of Mexico is indeed ordering that these caravans be disbanded and turned back.
That's incredible that they have this power the whole time, and then as soon as Trump gets back in office, they remember that they can shut down these cartels, but they profit so much from them that they just don't.
Exactly.
They have no incentive until the United States remembers that they're the United States, the most powerful country in the world. So it's unbelievable. It's just the Trump effect.
And that's the power of tariffs. Tariffs change. So the way income taxes have function is they function to infest resentment politics within our society, so that different tax brackets are pinned against each other by manipulating politicians. The beauty of a tariff is the more you move the tax to foreign actors, then whatever resentment you might have, like Mexican officials not stopping these 2,000 to 5,000 caravans coming. Well, the resentment now goes to foreigners, just like it used to. Athenians resented Spartans and Romans resented Carthaginians. You tried to bring unity to your society, and one of the ways you did that was by projecting resentment to a foreigner, to another nation, as it were, to another population group. And that's what tariffs do. Tariffs basically remove the toxicity of resentment politics from domestic life, and they reappraise it internationally. So tariffs are a very, very powerful tool for national unity.
Couldn't agree more. Well, guys, we're gonna head over to our private live stream. So once again, I'm gonna put up the banner just very briefly before we head over. So I'll explain once again. We have our deal, our Cyber Monday deal, where in this Cyber Monday season of Thanksgiving, where we're very thankful for all of you, and we want to extend this offer to new members, where you can get 50% off our annual subscription, any level of annual subscription, our bronze, silver, gold. You can get half off for our annual subscriptions. And then we also have two other major deals. We have 35% off everything store-wide. So that's awesome. So if you want any of the books that Dr. Steve has, you can get them individually for 35% off. We've got all these amazing books. Last live stream, I went through them all individually. If you want to go back and see what some of those are, or you can just go to the shop and check them out yourself. Or 47% off the huge mega bundle. So that is a massive bundle where you get all of Dr. Steve's works, a signed Dr. Turley MAGA hat. You get a notebook, a tumbler. We've got the tumbler right here. Look at that. That's awesome. So all of this, safe to say, this is our biggest deal that we do of the year. And so this is only available for a limited time. So if you go to the QR code or the link below and use the code CYBER24, you'll get a massive discount on all of these great deals But we really want to stress, if you want to, stick with us the rest of the night and every other Monday, and then you can ask questions on Friday mornings and Monday nights, you can join us by signing up for our annual subscription or just a monthly. You can try it out, but you will be able to ask any question you'd like and stay with us on our uncensored live stream, because a lot of stuff comes up with the Democrats, especially as the inauguration draws ever closer, that we might not be able to talk about on YouTube. And so it really helps to have an uncensored live stream where this channel, has already been demonetized for a year now, and we do not want to get it taken down completely. We want to stay with you guys and be able to reach out to all of you. So without further ado, I know I've been talking for a while, but we are going to head over to our private live stream, and we will see you all over there in 30 seconds.